What's going on, guys? Mick back again, and in this video we're going to be doing something different. Now, what I have been doing recently is reflecting and kind of looking on back at what Call of Duty has offered. I'm not going to lie, I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. I have hit Master Prestige. A lot of it is zombies and campaign gameplay. I probably have less than 10 hours of multiplayer. It's just that bad. And when I say bad, I'm referring to the skill-based matchmaking usually. I do think the guns and the movement is kind of good, and the maps are a lot better than last year, I suppose, but there is a lot of issues with server connection, skill-based matchmaking, just stuff that puts me off the game. For this video then, I'm going to be doing something a little different. For this video, I'm going to be looking at all the campaigns in Call of Duty's history and ranking them from best to worst, or what I believe is best to worst, maybe with some community research as well, what other people think. Again, this has come from me playing Black Ops 7 campaign. As you can see in the background, this is the endgame section, but I did admittedly and shamefully play through all the original missions in the campaign that they released. With that then, this kind of being the semi-main focus of the video and talking about this campaign, it is dreadful, and I'm not just being a hater for hater purposes, but this is just shameful. I mean, like, the missions are forgettable, the maps are like reused multiplayer assets, the characters, I don't even know who they are or what their purpose is. I watched every cutscene. I was playing co-op with my brother, and I mean, at the end, between the pair of us, we couldn't even tell you what the story was. We don't even know what happened. It was just a mess, a combination of reused assets, AI generated story, and I don't want to hate on people and developers and stuff, especially from a game I've been a customer for years, but I have to say the Black Ops 7 campaign, the missions specifically, and even a little of the endgame, it's almost like it was a university project by unexperienced people. I've been playing games for 2 decades, and I can tell you that this is a low effort campaign, and it was definitely made by inexperienced people. And I'm not even researching who made the game. I might look into it during this video, but it just screams inexperience and laziness. I'm gonna get straight into the ranking then of these Call of Duty campaigns, but as you can see in the background, this is where my idea for this video came from. It is the Black Ops 7 campaign, and now these characters, the story, the gameplay, the map. If this wasn't as bad as it was, I don't think I would ever make a ranking video, but because I am, the first thing I'm going to do is put Black Ops 7 right at the back. Now, the reason I think Black Ops 7 is the worst campaign, on top of the reasons that we've already mentioned, I mean, there's scenes in this campaign that look like it's straight out of Resident Evil's Ouroboros mission. I'm talking about the boss fight in Resident Evil 5 when the guy or whatever turns it. I'll get the clip, but it's like this giant fucking tentacle monster that just, like, you have to fight. And this happens in the Black Ops 7 campaign. I'm not even joking.
Save yourself!
There's parts of this campaign where it genuinely feels like the developers are playing a prank to see how silly they can make it to annoy us, but I digress. From the gameplay in the background, following this absolutely strange cutscene with these characters, I have no idea what they're doing or why they're there, but whatever. The gameplay you'll see in the background is something familiar you'll probably recognize. This is an original campaign map that completely focuses and is set on Hijack, the multiplayer map. It's a 1-for-1, everything's the same. You can also see something that annoyed me in the background here. One of my abilities with this character is a disrupt, and I used it on this dog, and 3 seconds later it's just back to where it was. This ability's on a cooldown. It's like, stuff like this is like, what is the point? Who made this? Are they rushed? But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in when I was rating Black Ops 7, that I played an entire mission that was a multiplayer map with weird abilities, random gun spawns. The enemies have health bars and you have to spray into them to kill them. Sometimes I wasn't sure if I was playing Black Ops or Borderlands when I was doing this, but I'm glad it's over and we won't be returning to this campaign. Okay, next on the list I'm going to be going left from right, so some of these might change position throughout. I assume I'm going to have to resize some stuff just by looking at that, but next on the list is Infinite Warfare. Now, Infinite Warfare is regarded as one of the worst multiplayer experiences, and a lot of people did not like that game. However, it is known in the community, and an opinion of myself, that it's one of the most underrated campaigns there is. Infinite Warfare has you follow the role of Lieutenant Nick Reyes, a pilot in the SCAR team aboard the UNSC Retribution. Throughout Throughout the game, you're going to find yourselves on missions on different planets, zero gravity, and there's just some emotional storytelling, especially involving the robot. I can't remember its name, but a lot of this was brilliant. I mean, great story, great atmosphere, great man. While not being one of Call of Duty's all-time greats, Infinite Warfare is a very underrated campaign, and it gets a lot of stick because of its multiplayer. What I will say when I'm rating these campaigns is they might change position throughout the video, so if you think I've made a bad call and want to run to the comments and say no, this should be here, just wait and see if I move something along the way. The way I'm going to rate this is just do it as I go, so I'm going to give my opinion as I go left from right, and I'm probably going to change my mind throughout. Next on my randomly generated list down here, we've come across Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, and that is the 2011 release. Straight away I have put this one in front of Infinite Warfare towards the best section. This campaign absolutely blew everyone away when it came out. Now it is easy to contrast and compare to modern day video games and what we have, but regardless of that, Modern Warfare 3 still holds up to this day. Now I do remember there was some contract disputes in 2010. This led to people thinking that this release was going to be a filler or kind of a lazy one, and some people did regard it as that at the time, but obviously bringing the whole Modern Warfare series together at the end of this trilogy, it was the perfect story. And obviously we had Soap's death, like I mentioned before, which is a memorable part in a lot of COD fans. It's always important to remember what that general sentiment was in 2011, and this game was cinematic, it was exciting, the story was gripping. I mean, it took you to different cities, Paris, London, Berlin, Prague, and just everything about it was cinematic. It was glorious at the time, and of course you have that memorable moment that sticks in your mind with every campaign, and that was Soap's tragic death. We have Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Now this is going to the lower end of the spectrum for now. I have placed it beside Black Ops 7. However, it might move as we go down the list, but as I was doing this I kind of thought it's going to be hard to beat this one. It was very poor in terms of campaign. Black Ops 3 kind of revived the co-op campaign feature that we've seen in titles like World at War. However, this was a little bit different in terms of the vibe and the unlockables and the leveling system. This campaign was a futuristic campaign set in the year 2065. You're a part of Winslow's Accord team, and you're basically taking through this guy John Taylor's dreams. This campaign kind of reminds me of the Black Ops 7 campaign, as it's non-linear story. It's hard to grasp, you don't really feel connected to the story, and also because of the dream aspect, there's a lot of sci-fi and ghosts and forests and shit. Because of all that randomness and sporadic design and ideas that they've just thrown in and tried to make you get grip to a non-linear random dreamlike story. It has Black Ops 7 written all over it, and the co-op aspect that they included in this game, me personally, I think it ruins campaigns. Obviously we had an outlier with World at War where everyone seemed to enjoy it, or maybe it wasn't used as much back then, but this story basically has you going through Detective Stapler's dreams or something and then trying to save him. When I say silent protagonist, you're not really connected to the story, you're kind of just part of these guys' story, which is something that ruins Call of Duty campaigns, I believe, in my opinion. Or not, I'm still going to keep Black Ops 3 down at the lower end of the spectrum of this ranking list. It's probably going to stay where it is, but we'll see as we move on. Moving on then to the next on the list, it's going to be Call of Duty Ghosts, and this list is going to start looking like a lot of opinion based stuff. Don't hate me if I'm wrong, or this is an outlier opinion, but in my personal opinion, Call of Duty Ghosts is better than Infinite Warfare. Call of Duty Ghost campaign is one of the most saving grace campaigns I've ever seen in a Call of Duty title. When Call of Duty Ghosts released, the public opinion was horrible. It was one of the most hated Call of Duties, and I could look into it, but I'm not sure why. I mean, the extermination mode or the extinction mode, it was terrible. It was basically unplayable in my opinion. The multiplayer wasn't too bad, but I do remember being younger when that came out, and the issues that people had with the multiplayer were some of the gunplay, the movement, and especially the maps. I think they did some weird stuff with the map. I think they tried to introduce reactive maps, trying to counter Battlefield's experience back then, where they had some maps that if you blew up part of the gas station, the map would change, and it just wasn't received by the community well at all. Call of Duty Ghost single player campaign then had you followed the protagonist Logan Walker along with his brother Hesh and the dog Riley. Call of Duty Ghost campaign then was set in a near future America crippled by what was called the Federation. It kind of gave a lot of Red Dawn vibes, kind of like that semi-post-apocalyptic world. The game then followed Logan, the protagonist, through his elite ghost unit that was formed by his father. There was 18 different missions, there was some stealth, there was some space combat, there was some dog commands, collapsing skyscrapers. This campaign was just cinematic and beautiful, but most importantly, the story is what got me. Now, public opinion on this campaign was lower. When I talk about the story, for me, it's completely opinionated. I mean, a lot of people said the story was very like bland or action movie-esque, and I think that's kind of why I liked it. You know, when I play single-player COD campaigns, when it turns into kind of like a movie experience or an action story experience, that's just my personal opinion that I enjoy. You know, that's something I look for in games. But the community sentiment, I do understand, was quite lower when it came to Ghosts. But I mean, in my opinion, when you're following Logan and, you know, his father dies and you get to the end and it leaves you on a cliffhanger and you really do feel like you're fighting against this superpower, I thoroughly enjoyed it, so it's going to be higher on my list. Next on the list now, still also maintaining that this is an opinion list. This is my ranking, but I have looked through these quickly while I was placing this, kind of scanned every COD, and nothing's going to beat Modern Warfare 2. Warfare 2 was a pivotal campaign experience when I was growing up. It was one of the most immersive, breathtaking, action-packed experiences I've ever had with gaming at that time of my age. Modern Warfare 2 is well known for its controversial skippable mission. They actually had a mission that was skippable because it was so graphic. Modern Warfare 2 was released in 2009. It was the second installment of the Modern Warfare series. It's definitely one of the more memorable campaigns, especially for people in and around my age that had this growing up. You know, you're old enough to remember and you're old enough to actually beat the game, but you were young enough so it was a pivotal part of your childhood. Playing as multiple characters throughout this story, such as Roach and Joseph Allen, this was under the same Task Force 141 team that we see in modern installments. It was going to be led by Soap and also Captain Price. We know who that is from all these Modern Warfare remakes. 18 different missions then from Modern Warfare 2, starting you in like snowy missions where you're hiking up mountains, oil rig assaults, gulag breakouts, the infamous favela chase mission that everyone loved replaying over and over again. Then of course again mentioning that the No Russian mission was also in there, which was a big part of the game. That involved you undercover inside Makarov's team and you had to shoot a bunch of civilians inside an airport terminal in order to gain his trust and maintain your cover. Public sentiment about this game at the time and at now is extremely high. Modern Warfare 2 is considered one of the, if not the best campaigns Call of Duty have ever made. To pull this off in 2009 and really set the stage for future Call of Duty campaigns, this is what really bred into the Modern Warfare trilogy and why they're remaking the Modern Warfare series now. Bringing back a story as gripping as this is definitely a huge decision by Call of Duty. Even though I do prefer having original games, I can see why they couldn't let Modern Warfare 2's story go. Like I said, pivotal game from my childhood, really set the tone for what I expect from FPS titles and FPS campaigns. But because of that and the reasons I've given, I'm going to place Modern Warfare 2 OG version at the very top of my list. It's going to be in the best title and I don't see it moving throughout this video. All in all, number one on top of my list, and like some of the things in these campaigns that stick in your mind, I don't think I'll ever forgive or forget when Ghost died. Next on my list then, we're on Black Ops 2. Sometimes during this video I'm thinking maybe I should have done these in order, but we're just going to do it the way I've done it anyway. Black Ops 2 is going to straight away find itself near the top of my list. It may be subject to change, but we'll see as we go on. Black Ops 2 was one of the best campaigns that Call of Duty have ever produced, and I feel like I'm saying that a lot, which is surprising. It's been a while since I've ever complimented anything Call of Duty have done. Black Ops 2 was the first to release different endings based on players' choices throughout the games. It was a wee bit different, and you know, it gave like a new original aspect to a campaign, but it wasn't one of the more revered features that people talked about and discussed. Throughout this campaign then, players would find themselves alternating between 1980s Cold War flashbacks with Alex Mason and Frank Woods, who are popular characters of the series. And it would also switch between a 2025 near future main setting of this actual campaign itself as David Mason that we've seen in the Black Ops 7 title. What you would do then is switch between these characters and kind of follow along their stories and how they connect, all while having that main antagonist Raul Menendez, who was a very popular villain and antagonist at the time. I've even seen him return in this Black Ops 7 title, but honestly I don't even like mentioning some of the story elements to this game because it's just that poor, it doesn't even feel canon. Black Ops 2 campaign for me was just excellent. It was like top tier. It took you into this new world with new weapons and it almost felt really original at some points. The campaign itself, especially in the 2025 focus, it took you to areas like Myanmar, Pakistan, the Cayman Islands, Yemen. There was all these different areas and beautiful level design with this futuristic look. Futuristic weapons and enemies that you had to tackle at the time, and this was all new. This was like, Black Ops 2 was what really set the pace for futuristic Call of Duties, and somehow they lost their way along the way. Black Ops 7 then, as we have talked about before on the channel, is apparently the spiritual successor to Black Ops 2. I don't see it, because if we are remembering Black Ops 2 campaign, it was original and new, but it was also a way for the developers to bring that Black Ops 1 story that extra mile and give all these characters new lanes of discovery and new information that we could work with. It was done well in a way that we could bring that Black Ops 1 story to another height. That's why I don't see BO7 as this spiritual successor, because BO7 just seems like a lot of assets and pulled stories and characters just thrown into somewhere where they don't belong and nothing makes sense, and it almost looks lazy in a way. But all in all, Black Ops campaign, or Black Ops 2 campaign, was immersive, it was fun, it was new, it was original, and it was just really well made, and it's going to remain at the top of my list. Next on the list was Black Ops 4, but as we all know, it had that kind of like 10-step tutorial thing, didn't have a single player campaign. That's going to remain outside of our list. Very fun multiplayer though, I'll give it that. Next on the list then is Advanced Warfare. This is an exceptional campaign, not as good as I believe as Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2 in my personal opinion. But I really did like Advanced Warfare's campaign. I remember the first time I booted it up, and the rain that was bouncing off the gun, the atmosphere, the story that you were thrown into immediately that was easy to follow. And you also seen some famous actors who are now obviously involved in some controversies, like Kevin Spacey. But the characters were amazing, the story was amazing. Should mention, while I'm saying a lot of good things about these campaigns, I am a COD fan, and a lot of these campaigns were through my childhood, and a lot of them were good at the time. Advanced Warfare is one of those ones though that I just could not get into the multiplayer, and I feel like we see this in COD titles a lot, where they either do like a really good campaign or a really good multiplayer, and the ones that stand out are the Call of Duty titles that can do both seamlessly. So like Modern Warfare 2 2009, that just shown like a perfect multiplayer experience. It romanticized and popularized trick shotting. So the Advanced Warfare campaign then, it follows a US Marine who loses his arm in a failed Korean raid against KVA terrorists stealing fusion tech. He then goes on to join the Atlas Corporation after losing his arm, and you'll see that famous meme video of pay respects. That's what that came from. That was the Advanced Warfare intro mission where you're paying respects to a fallen soldier. Join the Atlas Corporation, as said. It's led by Jonathan Irons, played by disgraced actor Kevin Spacey. You're given an exosuit upgrade, an elite team, elite weapons, and then you just go across these different missions leading up to that climactic finish of the final mission. The story's great for this, as you like join Atlas Corp and then you uncover Jonathan Irons' betrayal and like work against him that way. But I don't speak about this enough. The game played really well. Like, we talk about story and immersion, but the game played well. The movement, the sound design was fantastic. The sound of that weapon at the start when you're doing the fake president rescue, just the sound of that silencer rattling off, it was one of the best sound designs in a Call of Duty I've heard. Definitely takes you into this character's POV, and very immersive story. Could have been a longer campaign and maybe added in some more different aspects with the futuristic vibe. With one of this game's main points being really good and realistic movie-like cutscenes, I felt like there was too many. I felt like that about Black Ops 7 as well, and I don't know if it's just like TikTok brain opinion, but I just feel like there's too many cutscenes in Advanced Warfare, despite their really high quality and how good they were. It was just very overwhelming. Not a lot I can fault Advanced Warfare on, other than maybe some of the areas of these missions did feel kind of rushed, and that also led into the multiplayer community cries. Like, Advanced Warfare was not received well with the community, and I think a lot of it actually came down to the microtransactions and the loot boxes that they tried to introduce, which was one of the worst ideas Call of Duty have ever had, but I'm glad they scrapped it. All in all, not one of my most played campaigns, but Advanced Warfare is definitely up there on my list. I found it fantastic, just for all the reason I've mentioned, and of course the cinematic movie-like feel that it gave you. Like mentioned before, some Call of Duty titles do a good campaign, a terrible multiplayer. Some of them do a good multiplayer and a terrible campaign. This is one of those Call of Duties. The multiplayer just let me down in more ways than I can mention. Next on the list is Call of Duty Original. This is the first and the debut of the series. This was released in 2003. Because of its release date, I was very young, so I wouldn't have played this on release. I think I might have played it once or twice as I got older. However, I'm not going to be able to give a proper detailed review and opinion to this, so I have stuck Call of Duty Original bang in the middle for that reason. When I played Call of Duty Original, I do remember playing against the 3 different countries and those kind of missions, and obviously when you remember a game, the graphics are insane in your head, but If I go back now, it's definitely going to be an underwhelming experience because I just have too much experience with modern games that I'll be comparing it with in my mind. Not to say modern games are better in any way, I think it's just like a different viewpoint that we have now that's been forced upon us. These newer Call of Duties have kind of changed what Call of Duty was and what it was all about. You know, it was about brotherhood, war, you know, history. It was about all those things, and it's kind of changed over time, and it's changed the player base itself. However, it is fair to mention that when Call of Duty was released, it was absolutely groundbreaking. It took the community by storm. It was a marvel of video game history. It was immersive, and everybody that played the game spoke very highly of it and how realistic it was at the time. And as you can imagine, for 2003, a first-person shooter like Call of Duty featured in a historic environment with these historic weapons that really took you into the war, that would have blown minds, and it did, evidently. Like I said, this is a personal list with experiences, and I have been playing Call of Duty for a long time, but even this is outside of my range, so to speak. So I am going to put it back in the middle, but when it comes to public sentiment and public opinion, Call of Duty Original, that 2003 release, should be at the top of most lists as it was groundbreaking. Looking at my list now, I am squeezing Black Ops 1 in at my second favourite campaign here, and as you can see, Infinite Warfare, despite me having a lot of good things to say about it, has been pushed all the way down to the left. I was thinking it was getting a bit weird, I was speaking all these good things about CODs, but then I realised by looking at the list, I have only so far been talking about older generation Call of Duties. Now, a lot of people might, you know, attribute this to nostalgia, but if we really look at it, and some of the things we've been discussing throughout this video, older generation CODs seem to just do campaigns better. And while it seems a little strange to call some games like Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare older gen CODs, I don't know if some of us are getting a little too old or what. But I'm really discussing, when I say newer gen CODs, I'm looking at the Fortnite effect, I'm looking at post 2017 Call of Duties, and a lot of these recent titles that we've been receiving, and the campaigns aren't great. Granted, there are some outliers like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, which we'll get onto in a bit, and some of the good things I have to say about it, but in general, these newer released Call of Duties just don't do the campaigns as good as they used to. Black Ops 1 campaign then being one of my favourite. I put this up there with Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 2 in terms of its storytelling and its cinematography. Back in time now from what we talked about in the video, this is going to be the start of our character Alex Mason and his story. He is featured throughout different Black Ops titles. Black Ops 1 has you play through 15 different missions, including a Castro hit and obviously the famous Reznov sequence. To mention, Black Ops 1 is what introduced that famous Vorkuta sequence that we see in Black Ops 7. Cuban Missile Crisis is featured in this game, so there is a little bit of that history element that Call of Duty is used to using. The reason I have this up top there with some of the greats like Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 2 is because of the story itself. This is completely an opinion based on Black Ops 1's story. Following Alex Mason and learning out the twists about the numbers and the broadcast station and why he is who he is, and then obviously you're doing that classic Call of Duty climactic mission when he finds Dragovich. Playing throughout this game, it's dark, it's gritty, but the twists and the confusion, and you're trying to find out that next bit of information, kind of like when you're watching a TV show. Black Ops 1, for these reasons, is one of the best campaigns that Call of Duty have ever produced. I mean, this is the game that features that famous "You Can't Kill Me" scene with Frank Woods. I could go on and on about the different aspects of Black Ops 1's story and why I think it's one of the best, but in truth, there is a little element of nostalgia here. I mean, Black Ops 1 was the game of my childhood. Black Ops 1's always going to find itself at the top of my list when discussing things like this, and other than the campaign, we can look at the zombies for Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 zombies is what really got me into the game mode in general. I mean, I played World at War when I was, you know, young as a kid, but Black Ops 1 really took that zombies experience to the next level, and I'm always going to be biased when it comes to Black Ops 1, including the multiplayer side of things. I'm always going to put this at the top of my list. Next for me to rate on this little list I've got going is Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original. This is the start of the groundbreaking trilogy that Call of Duty came out with. This is the birth child of Modern Warfare. This is the beginning of all the storylines, some of the characters, the whole shift to modern Call of Duty as we know it. We saw new vehicles, new weapons being used, that modern setting, and a little bit more of a modern storytelling vibe rather than a history vibe that Call of Duty usually go for. A lot of different places that we visited in this campaign, but before we get into that, it should be mentioned that Modern Warfare's multiplayer, the original Modern Warfare, is regarded as the best of all time. It was clean, it was smooth, it was fresh. Everybody loved the new modern setting. They loved the kill streaks, the weaponry, even the noise it made when you had hit markers. All this stuff was so popular and so groundbreaking that it's been carried over into modern releases that we see today. Modern Warfare that was released in 2007 did that classic Call of Duty multiple protagonist vibe that they go for. Mainly you were playing as Soap McTavish, who is a character that we'll find throughout the Modern Warfare series, including these more recent titles. He's a very popular character of the community and well known throughout Call of Duty. The campaign itself then featured 18 missions, and you have to remember at this time these missions were modern settings, so for Call of Duty fans to play this, every mission was brand new and refreshing. They had never seen anything similar before in the Call of Duty franchise, so it made that aspect even better. There was ship raids, TV broadcast coups, urban beach assaults, there was an AC-130 gunship segment. I mean, the campaign was a movie. Call of Duty titles, we've seen that climactic finish of that main antagonist of the campaign, Zakayev, and that whole showdown that happened there. This is classic Call of Duty, and when they make a great campaign, it usually does involve that main antagonist that the character really dislikes, or there's something going on in the story that makes him the very evil character that we see. And when you finish the game and finally defeat this character, there is that sense of reward and sense of completion. That's what really makes a campaign good, having that goal to go for. Look, there is plenty that we can say about Modern Warfare's campaign, but the real reason it's high up on my list is the pivotal change that Call of Duty took when they made Modern Warfare. This Modern Warfare title was a step in the right direction for Call of Duty, and it's what we've seen with future titles and why it gained so much popularity throughout the years. Call of Duty did like that historical setting, that old setting that they usually go for, but Modern Warfare is proven and evidently the right direction that Call of Duty went in. Look, for me personally, I know everybody has different tastes and different preferences when it comes to Call of Duty titles, but for me personally, I always prefer the modern setting. Really, on to a title that I didn't like, guys. It seemed like that was never going to happen. We are on to the next on my list, which is Call of Duty Vanguard. The best way to describe Call of Duty Vanguard as a title itself would be unremarkable. The characters, the story, the setting, everything about it to me was just unremarkable and boring. The writers really had a problem here with Call of Duty Vanguard. Like, they tried to do that quirky millennial thing they do with characters, with their voice lines and the way they interact with each other. It was just like, it was hard to listen to. Call of Duty Vanguard was boring in its gameplay and also a very, very short campaign, and you'll usually find it with these poor campaigns like Black Ops 7 and Vanguard that they are short because the people that are making them are either pressed for time or don't have enough original ideas. Again, it's going to be multiple protagonists for this one. It's going to be a British paratrooper called Arthur Kingsley, a Russian sniper called Polina Petrova, Australian infantryman called Lucas Riggs. Straight off the back, these are like AI generated names for these people's like nationalities. Obviously the AI wasn't a big thing back then. The British paratrooper in the game was called Arthur Kingsley. Like, ChatGPT, what's the most British name you can give me? It's going to be a World War II setting, basically on the fronts of the war, and it's going to be in a chronological linear fashion. You're following these three characters through a linear progression of a World War II setting, eventually to get to the climactic mission that we're all used to in Call of Duty campaigns. It ends in a chaotic 1945 Berlin siege at Gestapo HQ. Well, on paper this might sound like a good Call of Duty despite its short playtime. It just wasn't received well and it was review bombed into next week. For me though, playing Call of Duty campaigns, this was the first time that I kind of realized stuff was going downhill. You know, Call of Duty back in the day growing up, you could always count on delivering a really solid campaign for the most part. The campaign itself kind of took you through a narrator's perspective, talking about the story the whole way through, and that entire aspect just pulled me right out of the game and the immersion completely. That paired with the short game time, it kind of made me realise that COD aren't shy with having a low effort campaign or putting in low effort for a yearly release. Now, as we know, the developers used to switch over every year to give you that fresh title, that fresh campaign, so even though it was a year away from your next Call of Duty, you knew it had 3 to 4 years of development before getting your hands on it. The reason I say this is for when I look back at the COD campaigns, Vanguard was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me and made me realise that this low effort pushing of campaigns was going to be a regular norm as long as they continued to make money. The reason stated in the bland story and the directing design that they took with Call of Duty Vanguard's campaign, it's going to be very low on my list. As you can see, it's probably going to be right at the bottom for campaigns I've played. Next for the ranking then is Call of Duty World War II. This is Sledgehammer's games and it is returning to its roots. This is a very underrated campaign for Call of Duty. I've put this in just behind Modern Warfare 3. Call of Duty World War II was released in 2017 and it is a single protagonist campaign. You follow Private Ronald Red Daniels of the 1st Infantry Division of the American Army. And it takes you through Daniel's squad and the story of his sergeant and his best friend who he loses in the war. This is again one of Call of Duty's roots of World War II setting, kind of like we mentioned with Vanguard, but this is done way better. I mean, the cinematography, the gameplay, the setting, everything is back to Call of Duty's roots. It's just bigger and better. For this campaign, it's going to be 11 missions plus an epilogue, so it's nice and long, but not too long. It's old style, classic mechanics, you know, with the health regen. You use kits and medics, squad perks for ammo, spotting and mortars. Go to different places like Omaha Beach, and there's some stealth infiltrations and all that good stuff that Call of Duty really includes. But what sets World War II apart from the likes of Vanguard is its story. It's memorable, the characters are memorable, it's gritty, you feel the stress of the soldiers in the World War II setting at the time. All in all, it's a great World War II game and it shows that Call of Duty does have the ability to make good campaigns, and it's a really good sign that Sledgehammer know how to make good campaigns as well for future Sledgehammer titles. The only bad thing I'll ever say about World War II is sometimes its dialogue can be a little goofy and it kind of takes you out of the game a little, but all in all, great game, great campaign. I think it's good to mention when I say great game, I am referring to the campaign. In terms of my opinion and my opinion alone, the multiplayer side did let me down again. Another one of those Call of Duty titles where they just do one or the other, and in this case, World War II's multiplayer just wasn't it for me. It was very slow and bland, and it'd be a little unfair for me to trash World War II's multiplayer because I didn't really play enough, and I think I should have played more, and if it came out today, I think I would probably be happy about it. In terms of ranking campaigns in World War II is definitely decent. I would call it decent. I'm going to place it on my list behind Modern Warfare 3. And another thing to say about World War II is if you're a fan of the TV show Band of Brothers, that's the kind of vibe you get from playing this title, so I do recommend that to any World War II Band of Brothers fans. Our list getting closer to the end now, kind of regretting the order that I've done this in, kind of sporadically picking them. It almost feels like I'm forced to make mistakes, but I will do a final revision at the end. Next up on the list is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Now, admittedly, this is one of those campaigns that I didn't play. Not many COD campaigns that I haven't played, but Cold War is one of them. I think it was just due to where I was away with work at the time, and I just never had access to a games console. Cold War's review then from myself, I am going to put it in the lower end of the middle just because I haven't played it, and there's no point calling it really bad or really good if I haven't played it. I suppose there's always an opportunity for me to go back and play Call of Duty Cold War, but I think there's going to be like an element to if I go back and play the campaign, right, and I really enjoy the campaign and the gunplay and the weapons, I'm going to have the biggest case of FOMO in the world with the multiplayer and the zombies. Not like it's inaccessible or I can't play it, but just the fact that it's not that current year of COD and I really enjoy it. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I guess I'll just miss out on what everyone else has. Coming up to the end of my list now, we have 6 titles left. Next is Modern Warfare 2 2022 release. We're playing this release when it came out, and I do remember enjoying the missions and the gunplay. I do remember that being a fun experience. However, the reason this is so low on my list is because of the repetitive Modern Warfare story stealing bullshit that we've seen before. When Modern Warfare 22 was released, critics used to say that it was like DLC for Modern Warfare 2019. Now they say Modern Warfare 3 was like DLC for Modern Warfare 2. The reason for this being is its repetitive story from Modern Warfare games that we've heard before with rehashed and reused characters. On top of that then, the actual general plot of Modern Warfare 2 was just hard to follow. It felt like there was a lot of repetitive and filler stealth despite being a longer campaign. It's almost like if Call of Duty decide they want to do a longer campaign, they have to fill it with like this meaningless stealth mission stuff or random side stuff. I don't understand it. A lot of forgettable characters showing up and some memorable ones that we've seen in the past, like Farah from 2019 and obviously Price and Soap, with some new characters thrown in here as well. All in all, I just don't rate this as a good campaign. I do put it on a lower end of the spectrum when it comes to rating campaigns. And it's not that it's genuinely a good or a bad campaign or it has like bad aspects. It's just because it's like so forgettable and the story's it's almost repeated. So should mention, I am no stranger and I am no hater of stealth missions. I want that to be clear. When I mean like the filler stealth is, you can almost tell that they wanted to make the campaign longer, some of these missions longer, so they added these filler segments that are slow and drawn out, and they usually do involve stealth. That's what I mean by that. Should say throughout this video, any rating or placement that I place these Call of Duty campaigns, this is my personal opinion for the most part and how I feel about these campaigns. Modern Warfare 2 again follows Task Force 141, who we already know, with some characters like Captain Price, Ghost, Gaz and Soap McTavish. They're going to be working alongside CIA's Kate Laswell and Mexican Special Forces in this game, Los Vaqueros. Basically you're hunting this Iranian Major Hassan Ziani after a US drone strike on some arms dealer, but like the main premise is there's 17 missions, you're following Task Force 141 and you're doing these like small side missions and all working towards this Iranian guy Hassan. A lot of the missions, as I said at the start, were fun. I did like some of the settings and some of the gunplay, and like I did enjoy some of the soap stealth missions that were involving like Ghost talking to you through comms. Like this is going to fall on the lower end of my rating spectrum because of the replayability of the Modern Warfare story. It's just overdone and overused. I'm craving something original like I used to get every year with Call of Duty, and every time I see Modern Warfare Black Ops now in a title, I just feel physically sick. So this is going to go near the bottom of my list. Just when I thought I couldn't fill up the bottom anymore, I came across Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 2023. This is one of the worst campaigns Call of Duty have ever come out with, and the reason for this is because Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was initially meant to be DLC additions to its predecessor Modern Warfare 2. Now we know that ended up changing probably halfway through the development because Modern Warfare 3's movement is significantly different to Modern Warfare 2's movement, which would have taken a lot of development time. For the campaign itself then, it is a complete filler through and through. That's the best way to describe this campaign. It's filler missions that probably could have been done with being on the previous campaign. Really much to say about this campaign when we're defining it, but because it comes straight after Modern Warfare 2, which involved Task Force 141, the same characters, the same story, and it's a remake of Modern Warfare 3's storyline with Makarov. This has to be the most thrown together filler campaign we've come across in this list. I can't even think of anything that comes close to this one. Modern Warfare 3 itself, for reviews online, have been trashed as lazy, short and rushed, kind of what I spoke about, and looking at low 4s and low 5s as its review marking. How much more I can speak about on this Call of Duty? I mean, I am going to move it towards the lower end of my list because of the rehashing of the Modern Warfare 3 story and the rushed aspect of the campaign. At least with Black Ops 7, it doesn't seem like it was rushed. It just seems like it, you know, they took a lot of time but weren't very good at it and it was terrible. But this campaign was as unremarkable as rushed as you can get it. Towards the end of our list now, I am going to throw Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 3 into the same bowl. Not that I have played these games growing up. Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 3 more on the multiplayer side, or probably messing around with my brother at the time. But it's important to note, if you see these Call of Duties kind of look like they're lower on the list, it's almost like I've just slapped them in the middle because I can't give a proper opinion on them. However, I do know that these games are very good when it comes to their campaigns. Duty 3 is a mainline Treyarch title. There was no PC release for this one, as I did theorize. It is going to be one of those back to the roots World War II multi-protagonist games. Call of Duty 3 only did a console release. I think it was even included in the Nintendo Wii, but for PC users they were not able to get onto this game. It's going to be another World War II front fighter, basically following different soldiers and their respective regiments and how those regiments acted in the war. It's going to be following Brotherhood, and obviously by the game title it's following the Call of Duty, you know, what fighting was for, what it was all about, and obviously those historic elements. So following around these guys, it's going to be the grassroots Call of Duty style, multi-protagonist, 14 total missions blending between these guys and their different roles in the war. It is going to be that OG medkit healing thing that Call of Duty used to do, dramatic cutscenes, and as I was right, there is QTE events that we're going to see in this Call of Duty 3 title. I wish there was a lot more I could say about this title in terms of personal opinion and maybe rank it higher instead of just reading off information that I found online. But the truth of the matter is, once we get like far enough back in Call of Duty, these titles are like a distant memory, and I know there's some people out there that probably don't even know these titles exist, but like I rarely touched them, rarely got into them, and it's hard to give that personal perspective without playing them. Again, I'm going to like lump in Call of Duty 2 with this. They're probably going to get the same treatment as the original Call of Duty. Now, when somebody's making a ranking list like this and they start putting like the 3 originals into this same bracket of, oh, I don't know what's happening, I know that could probably be annoyed, but the fact of the matter is I have played these games. I do remember playing these original games, but when we're talking about full-scale campaign experiences and me reviewing them and talking about what I liked and disliked, it's really hard to give good amount of detail and perspective when I haven't remembered the games properly. All in all though, while I'm reading and researching these titles such as Call of Duty 3, Call of Duty 2 and the original, I know that these are some of the best titles that the game has ever made because it's that roots, it's what Call of Duty know. When a game development company sticks to what they know and what they're good at and release it year after year or however long it takes them to release it, if they stick to that general template, usually they make straight bangers. A good example of this would be Capcom and their Resident Evil series. They stick to their template, they know what to do, and they just refine and refine that perfect little recipe that they have. Wish I could say more about Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 3. They are very good campaigns, they're very good from what I've read, but I do need to replay them in order to get that proper personal perspective on both of the games. It's important to really respect and understand the original Call of Duties and their effect on modern day titles. These guys are the origins, you know, what Call of Duty started with and what they based their template off. It's also important to note about what Call of Duty has lost along the way. If we can look at what they've done right in the past, it's kind of even more shameful to see what they've done in the present because we have that comparison. Next on the list, as you can see in the background, almost there. This is actually day 2, so if my energy's kind of changed, I do apologize. Next on the list is my favorite World War II adaptation of any Call of Duty, hands down, and that's Call of Duty World at War. Call of Duty World at War, when I was a kid playing this game, you booted up the campaign, it was raw, gritty, it was dark. I mean, they used like real death footage, I'm pretty sure, and some of the cutscenes are like in between missions. It's actually insane how gory this Call of Duty was, thinking back to it, comparing it to nowadays. I mean, like, this was proper war fighting stuff. I actually remember as well, it's not campaign related, but when I played World at War and you booted up the zombies and that soundtrack played and I was only a kid, man, it was the scariest thing ever. I haven't been that frightened from a Call of Duty ever again. Like I said before in the video, personal preference is going to play a lot into these type of ranking videos that people do. It does come to Call of Duty campaigns, as I have mentioned earlier in the video, I always do prefer that modern setting. Now that may be just because of what I grew up with or just personal preference, but either way, World at War is really high on my list. It's just not as high as the modern ones for me. That being said, World at War is definitely my favorite World War II adaptation. If I had to pick any like old school Call of Duty that I had to go back and play, if you know, minus people flying around with super colors and cheating, it would be World at War without a doubt. Fashion then, it's going to be a multi-protagonist campaign. This game was released in 2008 and it follows you shifting between a US Marine, Private Miller, and also the Soviets, a Private Dmitry Petrenko. Reznov's in this game. It's brutal, it's realistic, it's 15 missions, and it follows that historic trend of following different fronts of the Second World War. What really gives World at War its flowers, I think, is when I'm in talking about past Call of Duties and earlier in the video, I'm talking about how short campaigns usually don't fly too well. But Call of Duty World at War is one of those campaigns that it is relatively short. I think like a medium regular average playthrough is probably 7 to 9 hours and you don't even remember it being a short campaign. That's how good this was. When I think of World at War, I think about the gore and how a bouncing Betty would completely dismember someone's legs, and you don't really get that in Call of Duty anymore now. If you shoot somebody, they turn into like a rainbow fucking unicorn fart or something. The war truly was an unforgettable experience. I mean, like, just the way the weapons handled and the sound design, like World at War really took sound design to a new level when it came to first person shooters. Like, if you can imagine the PPSH, that sound when you're playing zombies, like if you played a lot of zombies and maybe not a lot of campaign, just all the sounds that you remember from zombies were in the campaign, but they were also being flown at you as well. It really was like a stressful, like cinematic experience. I can't get over how good World at War was for the time it released. Fantastic campaign, really good storytelling, great graphics for the time. I mean, like, I can't go wrong with World at War. It's going to be up high on my list, but as I said, it would be higher, but I am always going to prefer those modern experiences. That's just my personal preference, but this game is out of this world fantastic. Second to last on the list then is Black Ops 6. As you can see, I put it in neatly behind Black Ops Cold War and just in front of Black Ops 3. Now, I will do a final revision at the end, but as you can see, I moved the original Call of Duty up and the 3 that were in front of it back. The reason I did this, it's not because of personal preference. As I said, I can't really remember the first one. It's because that list kind of looks like rage bait in a way to most Call of Duty fans, because I've been in the community a while, so I did adjust that and we'll do a final revision at the end. Black Ops 6 is a weird one. Black Ops 6 is the Call of Duty that made me quit for a while up until very recently, and I thought I was done with the franchise. This was due to the game having a lot of hype and actually a decent release, but then the cheaters and the lack of like originality in the content, and then that stupid skin goofy shit that they always go down, all of that combined just made me quit the game. Black Ops 6 with its new innovative movement could have been something brilliant. It could have been like the COD, but it was just a failure in every sense of the word, so it didn't go down well with me and it didn't go down well with the community. As bad as this game was, the campaign wasn't bad. It was okay. I mean, I don't like the whole Bethesda looking into the character's eyes and choosing voice line stuff. I think that's more for an RPG. Not that I don't like RPGs, I love Bethesda titles, but it's just not something I want to see when I boot up COD, you know, picking different voice lines and stuff like that. But the missions themselves, the lighting was incredible, like the gala event and the motorbike scene. It almost felt like I was playing a James Bond movie. It was actually a really fun, action-packed campaign. Like I said, some of those RPG elements that they implemented during Cold War is not my favourite, and also the kind of goofy dialogue that we discussed about Call of Duty Vanguard having, it is in this game and it's ramped up. I understand that the game's supposed to be set in the 90s and everything was a little cheesier back then, so you know, I will concede that point. But other than that, like as I said, the game isn't bad. I mean, the gunplay's fun, the movement was fun, like the whole spy stuff that you were doing, the action scenes, I love that. I mean, for me, I did enjoy Black Ops 6, and I actually said it's one of the better campaigns at the time. And when I'm revising my list, and you have to go through like so many Call of Duties, it's obviously not up there. But when it comes to like the bad or the average CODs, it's definitely at the top of the line. Like I wouldn't call Call of Duty Black Ops 6's campaign bad in any sense of the word. I would think it's just poorly done, but I did enjoy it regardless. One thing about this game and other Black Ops titles, it does bring back previous characters that we've seen before, and the one I want to talk about is Frank Woods. In this game, I just didn't enjoy this like rendition of his character. He was in a wheelchair, he was kind of buggy, but like his writing was terrible. Like in one scene in particular, he said about this group and how good this group is and how he can't leave this life, and then in the same breath he says he wants to go back and raise David Mason. Like, in my opinion, that's like the writers have just put through something that they've done and somebody told them, oh, you need to include the lore there, and they just did it really lazy and half-assed. But I don't know, it's just my personal opinion. I did not enjoy this game's version of Woods. All in all, Black Ops 6 is just going to go in that meh tier of Call of Duty campaigns. It was okay. There was some good, there was some bad, and there was some ugly, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be one of those shiners in Call of Duty history that we look back on. However, with Call of Duty's kind of like game plan of just getting worse every year, maybe we will look at Black Ops 6, you know, the future generations will look back as it was a classic maybe, but you never know with Call of Duty. Last but not least then is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. If you've made it to this part of the video, I thank you so much. Like, this is a video that I had an idea for, and then you start making it and you get halfway, you're like, holy shit, this is going to take a while. But getting on then, Modern Warfare 2019 was a good campaign. I did like it. And now when you think about Modern Warfare 2019, people did enjoy the Clean House mission. That is like one of the most famous missions in Call of Duty. This is where you followed an SAS unit who were going through a townhouse in London, and the sound design, the IR lasers, the way they moved through the house, the tactics, you know, how silent they were. It was one of the more realistic missions that we've ever seen in a Call of Duty campaign, and that was actually received really well by the community. So well that I believe in Modern Warfare 2 they tried to do something similar in a house in Afghanistan or Pakistan, and it was kind of the same kind of silent tactical move through a house. Just goes to show what the community are asking for. You know, it's this kind of like Battlefield 6 realism, Call of Duty first-person shooter stuff that we used to have. That's what people are looking for, and that's what people enjoy. And for some reason, Activision hear all this and they go, okay, yeah, right, okay, so Beavis and Butthead and American Dad then? No, that's not what we said, you absolute plonkers. Modern Warfare 2019 ultimately is going to lose some points for me because of the lack of originality. Yes, it was a brand new game, but we're reusing that Modern Warfare title like we've seen in previous discussions. We're reusing that Task Force 141, those characters that we've seen before. So what it lacked in originality, it made up for in realism for sure. I mean, like some of these breach and clear missions that Call of Duty used to do, I love that kind of stuff, that action, slow-paced stuff. 2019 Modern Warfare then had a lot of stealth missions that didn't seem like filler missions. You know, they actually seemed like you were infiltrating. It was raw, it was realistic, it was actually really fun to play those. There was also a mission in this game that involved the embassy. I'm not sure if it was called the embassy, but it was ripped straight out of that story of the special forces guys from America that were in the CIA, that were in Benghazi at the time and defending that location. That story obviously was inspiration for this mission, as it felt like I was playing in the movie, and I know the movie was based on a real scenario, but it felt like I was playing in that movie, and it was fantastic. It was really fun. Linear stories in Call of Duty, like linear action-packed stories that go mission to mission, but in that like defensive Benghazi kind of mission, that obviously is in a sandbox, but it does offer that kind of freedom of what should I do next, what weapons should I use, what lane should I cover, you know, stuff like that. That's when Call of Duty implements that in the missions, it's usually a good campaign. I just don't like the simple, like, walk through this door, kill these guys, walk through the next door, kill these guys. I like something to be mixed up and every mission to be different. And Modern Warfare 2019 did a relatively good job of that. It was like taking you to different scenarios and settings and having you do different things and different plans of actions. Were you going loud, stealth? Were you being chased? Were you chasing? It was like an old style Modern Warfare, and it was brilliant. I actually did enjoy the campaign. As you can see from what I did in the list, I placed this in neatly behind World at War. Obviously, Modern Warfare 2019 is going to get points with me because of that modern setting, and I love that realism, that grittiness that we talked about in the clean house mission. When Call of Duty do games like that, it's very hard to lose my interest. I did enjoy that a lot. The campaign and then was brilliant, but also the multiplayer. I mean, on this channel, before I unlisted the videos, I played a lot of Modern Warfare 2019, especially Gunfight, and I did enjoy that, you know, that multiplayer experience, the movement, the hit markers, the way everything sounded. It was really, really good. And because of this opinion that I have, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people agree with me that 2019 as a whole was good, but there's also a shared opinion that this was the downfall of Call of Duty. 2019 was the last good, proper, high-effort COD that was developed. Now, I'm not too sure if we can actually pinpoint a title that was the downfall of Call of Duty. I think there was a culmination of different, you know, things that were involved in these titles that had problems. It's going to do it for this video, guys. I really did enjoy making this. You know, it was nice to take a trip down memory lane with some of the CODs that I grew up with. You know, I haven't played the campaign since then, and it was nice to remember them. Hopefully this list is pretty decent. I mean, it is my personal opinion. It is my personal list, so don't take any offense if I put one of your favorite Call of Duties down at the bottom. But if you did make it this far, or you watch little bits and bobs and you're at the outro, thanks so much. I really do appreciate you guys watching, and I also appreciate the guys who commented on my last previous video and the one before that. It's really nice to see comments on something I made, so I appreciate that a lot, guys. Other than that, I'm going to finally wrap this video up. It's one of the longest I've ever made, but again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, boys.